What if we pair the RTX 5070 with the Ryzen 5 7600X CPU? Is it a well-balanced combo or a total disaster? Let's find out. To test this, we are using the MSI Ventus 2X version of the RTX 5070, and the Ryzen 5 CPU is cooled by the Be Quiet 240mm radiator. By the way, if you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Check them out. Let's start with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This is a competitive shooter where we aim for the highest FPS possible. And we are at 1440p, NVIDIA Reflex is enabled, and the quality is set to basic to maximize FPS. And NVIDIA's DLSS is enabled and set to quality mode. Essentially, we're running the game at 960p and upscaling it to 1440p to maximize the performance. That is a pretty good start, close to 200 FPS, and the CPU is getting hammered pretty hard. Take a look at that. Already 60+% CPU utilization. But the GPU is keeping up. Yeah, pretty nice. 250 FPS. 1% lows aren't marvelous, but still pretty good. Well above 100. There we go. Surprisingly, we haven't seen any major CPU bottlenecks. Here's the result. Average FPS 206, 1% lows 145. Here's the setup summary and the GPU and the CPU performance summary. CPU 4% bottleneck, GPU 96%. Surprisingly, this combo appears to be doing pretty well in competitive titles. Yeah, well balanced, I would say. Let's move on to the next game. Cyberpunk 2077 represents a CPU-intensive AAA title. By modern standards, this game is still very CPU-intensive, even though it's been around for a while. And we are running at 1440p resolution using DLSS for quality mode, which again means that we're upscaling 960p to 1440p. No ray tracing, no frame generation, and FOV set to 100. Where is it? Yeah, there it is, 100. High graphics quality preset, but the one thing I lowered is crowd density. This is the setting that absolutely hammers the CPU. So we'll start with low, and we'll work our way up from there to actually show you where CPU bottleneck begins, okay? Wow, actually, we don't even have to increase the crowd density to see the bottleneck. The CPU is already bottlenecking this combination. Take a look at that. The GPU is not fully loaded. It is hovering at 80-ish%. Sometimes going down to 70, and the CPU is working really hard, above 70% utilization. That is a lot. We don't even need to increase crowd density, which would increase the number of NPCs in this area right here, which would stress the CPU even further. Okay, but we're still getting a nice, consistent, well, almost consistent 90 FPS experience. Sometimes reaching 120. Yeah, this is one of the most CPU demanding areas that I could find right here. It's fine. I mean, if you're looking for a 90 FPS experience, you just want to limit it at 90, then you're still going to have a good time in this game with this CPU-GPU combo. Still, let's have a look what happens once we actually start increasing the crowd density. Let's set it to medium. This configuration makes the CPU work even harder. Take a look at that. 80+%, almost 90% CPU utilization. And yeah, we're getting more dips below 90 FPS. Have a look at that, 84. The CPU bottleneck intensifies. But that's not the worst that can happen, because we can still increase that crowd density to high. Let's see what happens. There it is, the performance is now even worse. I've seen 60 plus FPS right there, 70, 64. So there you have it. The GPU is not working as hard because the CPU is absolutely hammered. The CPU is bottlenecking this system using this graphics settings configuration. So this just shows that if you come across a CPU intensive game, then a 6-core Ryzen 5 7600X is actually going to, you know, kind of lower your performance quite significantly. And it's just a good thing that in this particular game we can actually lower the actual setting that stresses the CPU. But that's not going to be the case for every game, especially going forward. Some games may allow it, other games may just be inherently CPU intensive, and you won't be able to do anything about it. That said, this is still a consistent 60 plus FPS experience. So if that's what you're aiming for, then it's absolutely fine. Thankfully, not every modern game is CPU intensive. The majority actually works just as this one right here. You don't need a powerful CPU, and the Ryzen 5 7600X is going to do an absolutely beautiful job. For example, this is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a new game recently released. And as you can see, the 6-core CPU is working really well in this game. No bottlenecking whatsoever. Yeah. Although it is still working quite hard. 60+%. Okay. And just to confirm, the resolution is set to 1440p, Ultra Graphics Quality preset, FOV is set to 100, and DLSS 4 is set to Quality mode. Of course, if you want higher FPS for some reason, you can get it by lowering the graphics quality. Let's select the high graphics quality preset and see if the CPU will be able to handle that. And here is where we start seeing the CPU bottleneck once again. Take a look at that. The GPU is not fully loaded, it's hovering at 80+%. And the CPU doesn't have to be loaded to 100% to actually start bottlenecking the system, all right? As you can see, we're now at 60+% still, and the CPU just can't do more. We're getting a pretty consistent 120 FPS experience, even higher than that, actually. I'm just saying that because we could actually limit the FPS at 120 for the smoothest experience. In conclusion, this turned out to be a pretty well-balanced CPU-GPU combo that is capable of delivering a pleasant experience in modern competitive titles as well as AAA games. You can count on 60+ FPS in very CPU-demanding AAA games and 90 to 120+ FPS in other AAA games. Obviously, an 8-core CPU would have been better, but if you don't have the budget for it and you still want to enjoy the RTX 5070, then this is a good option. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon at the links in the description below. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this CPU-GPU combo? Furthermore, if you found this video helpful, then don't forget to reward my work with a like. It helps out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And as always, if you are not subscribed and you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.